So that's all screening. And now that you've screened that, you've walked through the survivor, and we have some resources on a document that can help you fill out that information, where you have the drop down menu of the account number or the named phone number information that's a result of either fraud or coercion, identity theft, and then who the creditor is or the furnisher may be, and kind of the next steps to take. So you have all of that information, and now you have to figure out, okay, well, what do we do from here? How do we, dispute this? How do we try to address this? And so that's what we're going to cover in this next section. So first of all, you want to identify, again, all the information that is coerced debt and which reporting agency it's being, referred to, right? So is it on Experian and Equifax and TransUnion? Sometimes there's an account that is on two of them and not on one of them. It may be on all of them. So you want to keep track of that as well, who it's being reported to. Is somebody collecting on the debt, whether it's the original creditor, that Wells Fargo, Chase, et cetera, or is it in the hands of a debt collector, Portfolio Recovery Associates, LVMV Funding, whoever it may be. And then after you gather all of that information, then you want to discuss with the client what they would like to have happen. And that is because, our approach is always to be trauma-informed, survivor-centered, meaning they drive this process. They may decide, after you discuss their options with them, their legal options, you could do this or you could do that. They may say, wow, that sounds like a lot. I don't think I can do that right now, and that's okay. Or they may say, yes, I do want to, pursue this remedy, but not that remedy. I want to dispute it, but I'm not sure if I want to go to court. Or yes, I want to go to court and I want to do all of these different things. So you want to discuss that with them. And then, as a lawyer, it is obviously our job. We say this often, that the survivor is the expert in their life, but we're the expert in the law. So we tell them, here are your strategy, here's your remedies and here's your strategies and here's my advice. And, as counsel, I recommend you do X, Y, and Z, and then you allow them to decide. So it's important to always ask them, what their goals are. Is it just that they don't want more debt, right? And then we'll walk through that, the security freeze, things like that. Is it that they only want to deal with the credit reporting? They don't actually care about liability. They don't care about collecting on the debt. They only want it to come off their credit report. Or is it that they just don't want to hear about this anymore? They don't want anybody contacting them about the debt. They don't want to, they want nothing to do with this. Or do they also want to fight the debt itself? Like, they don't want to have to pay. They want it not just removed from their credit report, but nobody can ever come after them because it's not theirs. So these are things that you want to talk to them and ask them about what their goals are. Again, it's going to depend on the facts of the case and the type of debt and who the creditor is, which we'll get through when we talk about legal remedies. So each course of action will be different. And it's important to also know that you may not be able to assist this consumer in the way that they want. So it's possible that you've helped them dispute, you've helped them with the 521, and it's still appearing on the credit report, or they're still getting collections calls or notices about this. So you may need to refer the survivor to consumer attorney for possible litigation. And again, you'd come back to TAP for that if you have those kinds of challenges with your case. So now, disputing the coerced debt. So we've talked through here, there's these kind of, just in general, credit reports and what appears on credit reports and some of the players. But there's two pieces here of the negative impacts of coerced debt that we'll kind of deal with separately. So one, as I mentioned before, is just the negative reporting. So that, again, it's appearing on the credit reports, and the fact that it appears on the credit reports harms them in a couple of ways. One, it lowers their credit score, or it prevents them from being, and as a result, it prevents them from being able to get that housing, that credit, that job that they may need. And so it's just the reporting itself has negative impacts. That's different from the debt collection piece, which is on the liability itself. So either they're getting letters or calls or a lawsuit about this debt saying, you have to pay this, you have to pay this, you have to pay this. And so that is different than the reporting of it. This is the liability of it, the collecting of it. So it may not impact, just the debt collection piece won't impact their ability to get future credit necessarily if it's not on their credit report, but it's somebody seeking collection and may be taking legal action to collect on that debt. So I've mentioned all of that already. It's in this slide. And so we will get through the law that I'm going to cover on credit reporting is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And so we'll take some time to go through that and the remedies that are available to coerce debt victims under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And then with debt collection, that can be trickier depending on the type of debt that it is. So I'm going to just focus on credit card debt and talk through the remedies for credit card debt. And the reason I'm going to focus on that is because the vast majority of coerced debt ends up being credit card debt. That's the first. The second ends up being auto loans. And then after that, other types of debt, but predominantly those are the two big types of credit-related transactions associated with coerced debt. So we'll talk through the federal law that governs credit cards and disputing credit cards, which is the Truth in Lending Act, and then also talk about debt collection statutes, which is more general to all types of debt and debt collection, consumer debt. So there's a Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which is the federal law, and then we have a Texas law on debt collection that I'll talk through. So the key players who you're going to be disputing with is either the consumer reporting agencies or the furnishers, which I'll talk through who those are. Generally, those are the people that are supplying the information to the credit reporting agencies on that particular debt. And those furnishers are generally either creditors or the banks or debt collectors. And then, you want to deal with them kind of separately, right? So you're going to deal with the credit reporting piece, and then you're going to deal with the debt collection piece. So these are you see this alphabet soup here, and these, I'll go through each of them individually, but so you can refer back to these. These are the types of remedies that are available to identity theft victims and as a result, coerced debt victims. So the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Truth in Lending Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the Electronic Funds Transfer Act, and then our state law, which is Chapter 521, Texas Business and Commerce Code.